Good morning, class 11 students. This is your first class of English after your summer vacation. So, there are a few things that I would like to convey with the help of this video. Because your summer vacation is long gone now, it's time for you that you need to be very attentive. Pay attention to your lecture, online lectures, and always attend your online Zoom classes. Never skip them unless and until you have an emergency or a genuine reason. And please take your studies seriously. And in today's session, we will be studying the poem A Photograph written by Shirley Toulson. So, so before we proceed with today's session, I think it's very important that we talk a few things about the poet Shirley Toulson. Shirley Toulson, she was born on 20th May 1924 in England, and she had a huge passion on writing and was greatly influenced by her father. Her father name was Horsfall Dixon, and her mother name was Marjorie Brown. She took to writing as a career, and in the meantime, she also served as the editor for many magazines. So, in this poem, A Photograph, the poetess recalls her mother and her memories while looking at one of their childhood photographs, right? When her mother was 12 years old, and now she has been deceased, she has been dead, uh, you know 20 she's been dead 20 years ago, right? And now she cannot explain her grief she has for her for mother, and that she has lost her. So this poem is actually a tribute from Shirley's side to her mother, a photograph. So now let's look at the difficult words that we have in this poem. We don't have so many difficult words. The first I will be highlighting so that you could actually keep the track. Cardboard. So here in this cardboard, it means a paper board on which the photograph is pasted, right? And then we have paddling in the second line. Paddling means, I have highlighted for you so that you could actually see, PADDLING. Paddling means you know walking through shallow water in bare feet, right? It's more like just paddling. You go into you dive into the swimming pool and then you pedal if you don't know how to swim, right? You use your leg and hands to pedal. And then we have let's look at uh, you know some more difficult words. Mm. uh, we have here terribly. You're aware terribly is extremely, and transient means something which is temporary, lasting only for a short time. And this is called transient, right? And here you could see it is written here, smiling through. Let me just highlight it for you. Smile through. Here smile through means smiling faces uh, you know of poetess and her cousin could be seen through their hair, which was flying over their faces. And then we have I think that's all we have in this poem. No, and we have here, it's WRY, it is pronounced as re, which means disgusted, right? And labored means you when you do a lot of hard work, right? When you do something with great effort. So that's all the difficult words. And more importantly, we are supposed to discuss, it is very important that we understand the poetic devices used in the poem, because poetic devices, these devices, they make the poem more beautiful and add more meaning to the poem. It's more like, when you prepare a dish, you garnish it with coriander, right? Similarly, a poem is adorned and give a good meaning with the help of these poetic devices. So it's very important that you know them, you understand them, and yes, you should be able to find out or identify the poetic devices used. So the first poetic devices we have in this poem is allusion. It's ALLUSION. So what is allusion? Allusion is it is actually a reference, uh, you know an an indirect reference to a person or an event, uh, right? For example, in this poem, we have cardboard. So cardboard here, it actually refers to the photograph, the photograph that belongs to poetess mother. Right now, this is allusion. So this is the first poetic devices. Right? What is allusion? An indirect reference to a person, event, or thing. So the cardboard indirectly refers to the photograph, right? The photograph of poetess mother. And the second poetic device is, it is called alliteration. Alliteration, let me just spell it for you so that you could actually understand the spelling. It is ALLITERATION. It is pronounced as alliteration. So before we find out the use of alliteration in this particular poem, let's first understand what alliteration is. So alliteration, it is the repetition. Remember, repetition of the initial letter, generally a consonant sound. Consonant, we have vowels, we have consonant. So alliteration is the repetition of initial letter, generally of a consonant, of a several words. For example, let me just highlight this line for you. Stood still to smile. S. This consonant sound is being repeated in the several words. And then we have terribly transient. Again, consonant sound T is being repeated, transient, right? And then in the last line we have silence, silences. And with this in this particular line we have one more poetic device, and it is called personification. Personification is when non-living thing is personified, because here the silence has been given an identity. It is someone who actually silences, right? I can silence you, I'm a person. So the silence is noun here, and it has the ability to silence you, to make you mute, right? So here the silence has been personified, it has been shown as living identity, right? So now we have understood allusion, alliteration, and personification. Last but not the least, we have I think we have oxymoron. How do we spell it? OXYMORON. Oxymoron, it's very simple. It is actually when two opposite words are put together, to show, right? Uh, where and where has she used this poetic device in the poem? It is called labored ease. So labored, where we require hard work, and ease, where there is no use of hard work, which is done easily. So these are two opposite words which are put together. So it is an example of labored ease, right? And then we have transferred epithet. Transferred, it's very simple. TRANSFERRED. Epithet, EPITHET. So what is transferred epithet? Let's divide this term. Transferred means when you transfer something. Epithet means, epithet is a word or a phrase which describes the main quality of someone or something or someone, right? Which epithet is, which describes the quality of someone or something. And then so what is the meaning, and the complete meaning of this poetic device is when an adjective usually used to describe one thing is transferred to another, right? So it is called transferred epithet. So in this poem, where has she used? It is used here in this line, transient feet, where we also have alliteration, right? Transient feet is an example of transferred epithet because it refers to a human feet. Transient means which is not everlasting, which is temporary, but this is also used to describe the lack of permanence of human life, right? Not just about the feet, about the lack of permanence of human life. That human life, it is not forever, it is not evergreen, it is not everlasting. So these are the poetic devices we have in this poem. Now it's time for us to uh, it's time for us to go through the poem and the text. I will be highlighting the text for you so that you could actually keep the track of the poem and could understand better. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hand. So in the first three lines, the poet is she is recalling, the past, right? And she talks about a photograph, and the photograph shows that there are three girls, right? Um, Two are cousin. I mean the among them we have poetess mother, and the other two girl, they're holding the hands of poetess mother, and she is the big girl, and she is the big girl means she is the elder one. Shirley Toulson's mother is the elder one, she is the big one, some 12 years or so. And how old they are? They're around 12 years, right? All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. So this is the beach scene. The photograph is depicting her mother's, her enjoyable moment at sea beach with her two cousins, right? And these cousins, they are younger to her mother, right? They are younger to her mother, and the mother, she is standing in the middle, and the cousins, they are holding hands of poetess mother, right? And they are actually standing on each side. So and how old they are? They are 12 years old, and it is all shown in the photograph, right? And yes, also this is actually a reminder of sweet memories of her mother's childhood, right? The And how, because you could actually see that it is breezy. They have their hairs, they have their hair all over their face, and they are smiling, and uncle is who has captured the photograph. Uncle has clicked the photograph. A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. And this memory, it is before, it is actually poetess mother's past, right? The poetess, she wasn't born then, right? And that was before her birth. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. We have already discussed the poetic device here, so we won't be discussing it here, right? So, and then she talks about the sea. Now, because it happened long time ago, this beach holiday, it took place long time ago, when she was not even born, when the poetess mother was 12 years old. But now she talks about the time, the present time, that the sea hasn't changed, the sea is still same, right? Because it is the sea hasn't changed, but and the sea, it was the sea which washed their feet. In this line, she is actually trying to say that over those years, the sea hasn't changed, but the mother is no longer there, and the cousins, they are no longer there. It transient, it actually shows that human life is not permanent, right? On the contrary, the sea is permanent, but the human life is not permanent, right? Understand? Because we could actually so, like in this in this paragraph I have just mentioned, the weather, it was windy, and their hair was flying all over their smiling faces. We could actually see the expression of happiness, right? Understand? And the photograph took long time ago, they enjoyed there, but now the poetess mother, she was dead, right? And she's just recalling, she's reviving her memories. And the one thing that hasn't changed is the sea, which was washing the feet of all the three girls long ago. This sea hasn't changed, right? So transient feet, transferred epithet, because it also indicates the ever changing lives of human beings, right? That we have a very short live here, understand? And it is actually in contrast to the uh, eternity of nature, the sea, eternity of nature. The sea hasn't changed, right? Understand? Some 20 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot, see Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. So here, she is poetess mother. In this paragraph, in this stanza, she is poetess mother. So when she was 12 years old, and after her mother was 12 years old, and after 20 30 years, the mother would laugh. She would look at the snapshot, and she's laughing because I think they are dressed in a very funny manner. Betty and Dolly, they are the cousins, right? Of poetess mother. So it is actually poetess mother's past. She would look at the photograph, she would laugh, and she would also this you could say that that nostalgic feeling of poetess, the photograph revives nostalgic feeling in her. Yes, obviously in this stanza, in the mother, right? And the sea holiday was her past. Sea holiday was her past means poetess mother's past was her sea holiday, and mine. So mine here, the poetess Shirley Toulson. And what is Shirley Toulson's past? It was her mother's laughter. Because when Shirley's mother would look at the photograph, she would laugh, and Shirley, she would look at her mother laughing, and she would also enjoy, right? So what was mother's past? Mother's past was her beach holiday, her and for Shirley's, what was her past? Her mother's laughter. Both, this is important, like both re means disgusted with the labored ease of loss. Labored ease of loss. So what does this line is trying to convey? And this shows this context, of this line, that that we see the mother's recollection of her childhood days, and also the poet's recollection of her mother's laughing face. So in this line, it is mentioned that both of them have suffered, that there is actually a sense of loss for both of them, because for the mother, the sense of loss is the carefree childhood days, and for the poetess, for Shirley's, it is actually the loss, right? The loss of her mother through through her death and her smile. Understand, right? So that's how they both have suffered. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girls lived, and of this circumstances there's nothing to say at all. It's silence. Silences again, personification, we have already discussed this. Understand? So in this particular stanza, she recalls that it is nearly 12 years since her mother died. It has been 12 years, right? And the poet, she is grief stricken, because she has no words how to express her loss and pain, and she is completely absorbed in the memories of her dead mother. And this painful situation, this painful silence, it actually silences the whole situation, and it leaves the poet speechless. She cannot even speak. She could actually feel the grief, and she is unable to express it through her words. That is why she has written silences, right? The silence caused by the death of her mother. Understand that she is unable to utter the word. So that's all we have in this poem. And before we wind up, I would like to give you a quick recap, because also I would like to mention that this poem talks about the three stanzas. There are three stanzas which actually depicts three different phases. So what are three different phases? Let's talk about them. In the first phase, the poetess mother, she, she is shown as 12-year-old girl, right? She is happy, she is innocent, she's smiling, and she's at the beach. She's enjoying her holiday with her two cousins, Betty and Dolly. This was the first phase, and it was before Shirley's birth. Understand? And in the second phase, what happened in the second phase? You know Yes, the poetess mother, she is middle aged, right? And she is laughing at her own snapshot. Who is laughing? Shirley's mother. She is laughing at her photograph. Which photograph? Where you could see the beach holiday and the two cousins, Betty and Dolly, and the mother, right? And so this was the second phase. And in the third phase, the poetess Shirley Tolson, she describes her feeling, for her mother who has died many years ago. So this is the current phase, right? This is the current phase, and this photograph, yes, it actually gave birth to the nostalgic feeling in Shirley's, and and she it makes her silent, and she cannot express anything because she is grieving. So that's all we have in this poem, children. In the next session, we will be discussing the question answers, and tomorrow, you will also receive the homework. Please go through it and complete it on time. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. I'm winding up now. See you soon in the next class.